Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on my video and watching it. I'm going to be doing a DIY ring light using all Dollar Tree products and stuff that I had around my house, and the lights were from Walmart. So as I mentioned, these items, a few of them I did have to pick up at Dollar Tree, but most of them I did have already in my house to begin with. These zip ties, I would recommend getting a bigger size. If they have bigger sizes at your store, I would recommend getting larger ones than what I had. But everything that I did use will be listed in the description box below for you to check out, and I will have a description of why I used certain sizes of the items. Starting out, what I did, I just cut off the tag for the wreath, and I measured out where I wanted the plug-in to be. So I wanted the plug-in to be at the bottom, so that is the first part that I decided to find. And I used the wreath inside out, if that makes sense. So I wanted the wreath to be facing out. I used the LED lights and I roped them around on the inside so that they would be sitting inside of the wreath versus on top of the wreath. I did that because I thought personally it would be better if the light sat inside of the wreath instead of on top of the wreath. As you can see here, I'm just securing the lights with zip ties. The reason why I suggest getting two sizes of zip ties is because when I started to make this, I realized towards the end I needed a larger zip tie. These ones I believe are 7.5 inches, but for the part towards the end of the video, you will see that I struggle and I needed like maybe 8.5 or possibly even like 9-inch zip ties. I know that they do sell 9-inch zip ties at like Walmart, but I didn't see those in time and I didn't know I was gonna need larger zip ties. So from my experience, I would suggest getting larger zip ties, smaller ones as well as larger ones, so that they work better for your project. And then just continue on looping them around. Once you get to the very end, once your tail starts to get pretty short on the rope there, just kind of figure out where you want the bottom piece to go. Obviously it doesn't line up perfectly. It probably could line up perfectly if you wanted it to, but I didn't realize that that both ends weren't gonna meet at the same side. So what I did is I just loosely kept them so that it was more towards the middle, and I made sure that I just tried to place it as strategically as I could without making it kind of look like a mess, or just trying to make sure that it still looked like it was still going in that full circle. So that is what I did. I just made sure to more precisely place these along the lights that were already laid down. And voila, there you see it. I used the zip ties, made sure that the bottom piece was at the bottom for the plug-in, and I just made sure that everything was lined up as best as it could fit, given obviously Dollar Tree products and zip ties. So I just secured it as best as I could, and then I just went to cut off all of the zip tie tags. Just be aware that these are going to be pretty sharp, so if you happen to stick your finger on it, it's going to be sharp, so be careful. Do keep that in mind, that they will be sharp once you cut them, but otherwise than that, I just made sure that I went along and cut all of them off. This next part was so annoying, like super duper annoying. Okay, so I had two pieces of cardboard that I had cut off of a box. I didn't have a square piece of cardboard, so what I did was just cut off the sides, like the flaps, to the box of the cardboard piece. and I didn't have a box cutter or anything, and my scissors were just not working. So you see me struggling pretty hard here. What I did was I measured out the size of the wreath, and then I just measured a little bit, like 1 or 2 inches. I just kind of eyeballed it 1 or 2 inches from that line. You could be more precise and actually have a square piece of cardboard measure the inside of the wreath and as well as the outside of the wreath, but I just eyeballed it and it seemed to work pretty well for me. I didn't have any problems just eyeballing it, but I did have problems cutting it. So make sure that when you do this, you do have something that is going to be sturdy enough to cut through this cardboard. And I also kind of messed up. I was doing this on my bed, so I mean, I probably could have done this on like a hard surface with like a little protective cover piece to cut it, but I just didn't. So that's kind of why I struggled a little bit more. But I would say this is probably the hardest part of the entire ring light. This right here. Cutting the cardboard was the hardest part for me. Next, what I did was size up the pieces of cardboard that I cut to make sure that they weren't going to be too skinny or too round. You know, I just wanted to make sure that I was still cutting correctly because, like I said, I was eyeballing this. So I just measured it to make sure that I was still going good and to make sure that everything was going to be sized up correctly. Once I had both pieces cut out, what I did is I just grabbed my tape, and this is packing tape, so it works a little bit better because it's a lot more sturdier. So I trusted the tape. I just taped the two ends together so that they would stay put, and I just did that to both ends so that it would be a perfect circle, and pretty much it stayed well. It stayed put. It didn't move at all with this packing tape. Next up, I did grab the aluminum foil, and I just grabbed a decent sized piece so that I would be able to wrap it around the cardboard ring. And I just made sure to wrap it around all the way around the cardboard ring, and it worked out well doing that. It was sturdy. I mean, of course it wasn't sturdy, but it was sturdy enough for the purposes of what I will be using it for. Granted, this is DIY. All these products are products that I already had in my house and Dollar Tree products, so high quality is not what I was going for here. I was just going for functionality, for something that was going to get the job done while I would be able to save money in order to sometime in the future buy a, like a ring light. And now I'm all finished with that. I did grab my wreath with the lights, and what I did is just set that on top so that the aluminum foil was at the bottom, and I placed the ring light on top of it. So as you can see how a regular wreath is facing out, I put it on top of it so that the lights are still on the top. I don't want the lights to be on the bottom of it. I wanted the lights to be on top of it. As you can see here, this is when I figured out that my zip ties were too short. My zip ties were too short and they weren't going to reach all the way around the cardboard as well as the wreath. So a very impromptu item that works. I am gonna get larger zip ties, but for the sake of the video, to finish it for you guys, I just grabbed my packing tape and I stretched the tape long enough so that it would reach around the cardboard as well as the wreath. So I'm sticking it onto the lights so that it actually has something to stick to. But you will be able to, obviously it's obviously not going to stay very good with just tape, but for the sake of the video, because I realized that my zip ties weren't long enough, I very quickly just tried to be resourceful, and I just used my packing tape to secure it to the cardboard wreath. And it did work, it did keep it together, but long term I am not going to keep the tape on there. I will go back to the store and I will purchase larger zip ties to secure it, and that way for my own peace of mind I know that it's going to stay. That is it, guys, for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Head over to my Instagram. I am doing an international giveaway. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I love ya. See you guys in my next one. Bye.